Stampers, Jackie Bolhuis here with a brand new series of Stamping Basics videos, and they're all going to center around this awesome brand new tool called the Stamparatus. You say, Stamparatus, what the heck is that? Well, tune in every day this week and I'm going to have a new video for you showing you a different card that will feature a different way and use for the Stamparatus. You're going to fall in love with this tool. It will help you stamp. It will give you cleaner, crisper images. You'll have less waste because you're able to get a perfect image each time. And even if you don't, you'll be able to easily correct it. Plus, there's some fun techniques that are a whole lot easier using this than trying to use a clear block and move your stamps around. So I hope you like this series, but most importantly, I hope you learn from this series and that you fall in love with the Stamparatus like I have. Now, in my style, in my true fashion, I'm going to go at it from the keeping it simple, Stampin' Made Simple perspective. You know, I keep everything simple, and I want to show you how when you use the Stamparatus, you can keep that simple as well. This tool is not complicated. It's simple, and you will love it. And if you have, some of you may have received it already because we were able to pre-order it early. Otherwise, June 1st, it will be made available for everybody. So get ready to place your orders on June 1st. I would love it if you're looking for a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, if you would select me, and if you would order a Stamparatus from me. And I promise I am here to help you then every step of the way. I want to be your person that helps you make stamping made simple. So let's get started with the first project. And this first video is also going to have a lot of just kind of a tour, I should say, of the Stamparatus and show you all the parts and pieces and talk about it. And then I'm going to make a project for you. And then the rest of the week, I'll share other projects with you, showing you different ways to use the Stamparatus. So as always, if you have any questions, make sure to get a hold of me. You can contact me either by leaving a comment here or through my blog. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss the coming videos as well. So I look forward to sharing a lot of fun projects and helping you fall in love with the Stamparatus as I have. So let's go ahead and flip the camera and get started with today's tour of the Stamparatus and the first project. So what really is the Stamparatus and why would you want it? Well, it's a tool that will help you, number one, get really good, clean, crisp images, and it will also help you place your stamps exactly where you want them. And then there's a whole bunch more uses for them, but that's kind of the basics. So I have a whole video series I'm doing for you, and we're going to talk about just what it is and how to use it, and then show you several different ways to use it depending on what kind of card you're making. So let's first just take a look at all the parts and pieces of the Stamparatus. So this is your base that they call it, and it's nice and solid and sturdy. They've made this very well. I'm very happy with it. And then you get two, we call them stamping plates, and they're double-sided. So you can stick a stamp on this side, or you can stick a stamp on this side. And you have 4 of them. Now they just go right in here into the hinges. Do you see how easy? They just come up and back in. So you place your stamp on it, you stamp, and then you can take it off. And you're going to see this in use here in just a second, but we want to talk about the pieces. You also get a foam mat. Now, you can use both your red rubber clear mount stamps or your photopolymer with this tool. I have an example of both of them right here. Now, when you're using the red rubber clear mount, you do not use this pad because there is enough foam right here so that when this is on the plate here, you know, think of these plates really as just your clear blocks. So when we put this in here and we turn it down to stamp, there's enough cushion there to get a good image. Well, on the other hand, if you look at these two stamps, you'll see how much thinner the photopolymer are. So that's where I need to stick the foam in here so that when I come down to stamp, that's where my little cushion is, and it kind of raises this up a little bit. It kind of makes up for not having this foam like we have on the red rubber ones. So that's when you're going to use that. Now, when you store your Stamparatus, you're going to want to take your plates out and just go ahead and stick them just like so. What you don't want to do is take your plates and, well, I suppose you could do one of them that way, but what happens if we do the second one, it will not go all the way down. Can you see that? Because of the hinges. So if you want to leave one on, that's fine, but then take the second one out and just stamp it on top of each other, like so. Then The other part of the Stamparatus are the magnets. Now, I have a big warning with these. Notice how I'm holding them in my two hands away from each other. These are super, super strong magnets. If you get them close, they will like jump to each other. And they can break and shatter because they're so strong and so much force. I'm gonna set that one down, but if I got them close, they'd go bam, and they could break on you. So be very conscious of never putting these close together. So they do store in the back. There's a little spot right there for one, and there's a little spot right there for one. Now, in most cases, number one, I don't always use the magnets, and quite often if I do, I will only use one of them, and then I don't have to worry quite as bad as them jumping around and getting on each other. Now, you might wonder what's on my magnet here. This is just a piece of washi tape that I wrapped around, and I left a little tail here, and that is to help me grab them because it is almost impossible to pick these up because they're so strong. But if I have this little washi tape on there, I can just grab it like that to pull it off. But you can see how much they jump. They are strong magnets. So those are a couple of tips on the magnets. So again, they store back here. Make sure to keep them apart. If you do happen to let them jump together and they break, never fear. In the new catalog, Stampin' Up! Will have replacement magnets for you. And then it stacks like so, and it's ready to put away. So that's kind of the basics of it. So why don't we go ahead in this first video, I'm gonna show a card, and we'll stamp the card, and I'll show you how to use the Stamparatus. So let me just get set up for that. This is the first card in the Stamparatus Basics video series. Now, I know I have so much to share with you, so we're going to break it down one day at a time with all of the different ways that you can use the Stamparatus. So today, this is the card we're going to be making, and it's really just going to talk about using your Stamparatus completely instead of a block, okay? This is the red rubber clear mount stamp set, but I've got it mounted on the Stamparatus instead because it allows me to stamp it over and over to get the image exactly how I want it. Now we're using the floral statement stamp set. There's two big stamps, thanks and hello, and as you can see, it's a pretty big stamp. And what I have found with big stamps, I have a hard time getting a really, really good impression, especially when you have a lot of solid parts of it. This is a stamp set I struggled with, to be honest, until I got the Stamparatus, and it was like, voila, makes life so much easier. So we're gonna go ahead and put our cardstock. I like to put it in the corner, and we're gonna add a couple magnets. Now, I've already talked about this in the beginning of the video, so but you can see my little washi tape on there, and then we're going to use our Memento black, and I'm going to ink up our image here. Now it's going to ink up just fine this way, but it's kind of at an angle the way this plate bends down like this. But if I put a stamp case underneath it, it kind of levels it. So some people prefer that. You just feel like it's a little bit more solid for you. Ink it up. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip it over and give it some good pressure. Okay. Make sure you press all over, but see how that's so much easier than trying to manhandle a big old block. Now, when I lift it up, I look, it really is not a great image, especially here on the H and the E. Well, this is where the Stamparatus becomes truly your best friend, because all I have to do is ink it up again in that black, and we're going to stamp it again. You know, make believe it's your first image, give it some good pressure. Let's see, we're going to move that magnet just a smidgen, make sure that stays up there. But it's better, but I still want it darker because I want those letters, the hello, to be really, 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 really crisp. Nice and dark and crisp. So we're going to do it a third time. But this is something you would never, ever be able to do without the Stamparatus. Look at that. Look at how crisp that is. And honestly, I want just a smidgen more on that H because it is, I'm pretty picky Pete. Well, we'll just cover the whole thing, but we're going to pay special attention over on the H and maybe give that a little bit more pressure. Okay. Press all over. Now the other nice thing when you're inking this up, if you get ink, and you can see little spots here that I have it on the edge of my rubber, no big deal. You're not going to pick up those edges because you're not rocking your block at all. But look at how crisp and dark that image is. That's what I want out of this stamp set. So There you can see it. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the finished card. I just colored my hello with some Stampin' Blends. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you how to do that, and then I'll show you how I did this fun bow. I have cut it down to 2 3/4 by 4 1/2. I generally, with a Stamparatus and with a big image like that, I'll start on a piece of cardstock that's bigger than I need and then cut it down to make it exactly how I want it. But like I said, we're going to stamp with the blends, so you're going to get a real simple blends coloring lesson. I've got Daffodil Delight, I believe it's called, and I've got both my light and my dark. Now, with the blends, there truly is not really a right and a wrong way. The way I like to do it, I call it stamping or coloring with blends made simple, just like everything. But I first colored with the light, and then I took the dark, and we've got natural shading on this one. So I really just put in a little dark right where those where the lines are on there. You can see, so there's the light. We'll do it again. We'll put a little dark up there and there, maybe a little along that edge. I am not an artist. I'll be the first to admit I totally do not understand shading and all that fancy dancy coloring, but the blends to me make me feel like an artist. So I just, maybe around the edges we'll put the dark, but it helps give you just some different shades in there. So we'll do that. Like I said, some people prefer to go dark and then light. It's totally preference. Doesn't really matter. And I like to do just little spots at a time because you don't want that color to dry, because you want to be able to come back with dark and then with light again and blend it. So very simple indeed. Make sure with your blends when you're done, you put those caps on good. Push them down on the table and hear that snap. Then you know that they're done. So let's go ahead and use some Old Olive on the leaves. And the same thing, I'm going to just start with my light, and then we'll put just a dab of the dark in there. Come back with our light and blend it a little bit, and we would go around and color our whole image like that. I am not going to color the whole thing for you because I want to show you how, and then I like to keep the videos short and simple so that you can learn from them. Then I went ahead and I layered this up with a piece of Basic Black and a piece of Whisper White. It's kind of fun to use Whisper White as a layering color. We don't often think of that. And I will have the measurements to these in the blog post that shows this card. And there will be a link at the end of the video and also in the video description to take you to that blog post, and you'll get all the measurements and the list of all of the supplies. But before I let you go, I do want to show you this fun bow. So let me go ahead and grab the ribbon. The ribbon that we're using, it's a polka dot tulle, and it's brand new in the upcoming catalog. And I tell you what, you're going to probably see this on 90% of the cards I make. I am in love with this. It is so soft. It ties fabulous bows, and you can even color it any color you want, which I'll show you in another video. But for this one, let's just make believe my piece here is layered. This and then black and another piece of white. So to do the bow, all I did was I took a piece of this tulle and I cut it just a little bit longer, and then good old-fashioned Scotch tape is my friend. And I just lay that on there where I want it at the angle, and then wrap one side around and just kind of hold it and flip it, oops, and add some Scotch tape to the back, and then take the other side and just lay it how you want it. Fold it. It kind of has to fold on an angle like that, and then put the other piece of Scotch tape there. So that's the piece on there. It's too hard. You cannot wrap it around and have it lay nicely there. Then I'm going to just take the tulle, and I take it right off of my spool. That way I don't cut it right away until I have kind of an idea what I want. So I feed it underneath the piece there. Look at that. And I usually allow more than plenty. I don't like to be skimpy and make it hard to tie the bow. So I have it fed through there. I generally tie my bows upside down. Someone told me that once, and it really does work to get your loops going a little bit better. So I'm tying a knot right around the piece that we taped on there. So now it looks like it's wrapped around there. And then we can just go ahead, make our little loops like so. And we'll turn it around the other way, and I like to just kind of play around with it and futz with it a little bit to get the bow. If you struggle tying bows, you will love this tool because it is super simple. It's kind of like that crinkle ribbon that we all love so much. And then I'm going to come back, trim off my ends at an angle, and there will be our bow. So I hope you enjoyed the first card in my Stamparatus series, showing you how to use the Stamparatus for just kind of basic stamping instead of using a clear block, but especially with these big bold stamps, because it really helps to get a really dark image because you can go over it and over it and over it. So stay tuned, and I will have another video for you showing you another card using the Stamparatus in another way.